I am so jet lagged. I just slept like 13 hours the first night that I was back. And then last night, tonight, it's 6:30, 6:40. I slept like 1 hour. I just lay there for a while. I was like, might as well just go to the gym, I guess, because the last thing I want is to fall asleep at 7 a.m. and then either wake up really screwed up at like 9 or not wake up until noon and perpetuate that. What this is gonna be, there's gonna be painful. I have no idea how it got to be Friday already, but the week has completely blown by. The jet lag is not a joke. It's been brutal, but it's given me a lot of time to think. One of the things that jet lag gives you, if nothing else, is a lot of time at about 3 in the morning, to think about things. I only had a couple of those nights, but they were very real. What I've realized is I'm in a bit of a desert period. One of the things growing up in the church, having a dad who's a pastor and hearing a whole lot of stories, the image of Moses wandering in the desert for 40 years came through pretty strong for me in the last couple of days, and actually was a helpful one. The story being, of course, that getting to the promised land took them an extra amount of time because they screwed it up the first time around, and then they had to wait for an entire generation of people to die before they were allowed in, which is a little bit messed up, yes, and we can talk about that some other time, but that's not really the point. The point is that oftentimes we find ourselves in places in life where we know where we want to be and we are working really hard to get there and don't necessarily seem to be making any real progress. I very much feel like I'm in one of those places. The reason that I thought I'd share about this is largely because I'm trying to figure out how to get through it, how to encourage myself and to feel like it's gonna be okay, because there are a lot of times where I think we end up in spirals, I do for sure, where I don't know for sure that it's gonna be okay, but you need to believe that it's gonna be. You need to know at your gut level, because otherwise it can get really discouraging, really difficult. I mean, without hope, how are you gonna make it through? I do believe that the only way to lose is to quit in life, in business, in relationships, in health. Like with all these things, we can hit massive bumps, or we can fall into stasis, feel like you're not making progress on weight loss or muscle building, feel like you're not making progress in the business or on the relationship front. And oftentimes that feeling of stagnation is just a sign that you're in it. Like it's something that you have to go through, it's something that you have to push through to get to the other side. But it can be really hard to remember that and really hard to feel honest in pushing through it, because how can you know that you're gonna make it through? So if you can't know for sure that it's gonna, this is getting, not to get reductive, and this is the way my brain works sometimes, we can't really know anything. I think, therefore I am, kind of a thing. So when struggling in the midst of these hard times, I've been in them before, right? Like I've definitely had my moments that have felt impossible. And I've been in ditches where I didn't know not only how I was gonna get out of it, but I couldn't see the way out of it. There was no horizon, there was no light at the end of the tunnel. It's in those moments that you do have to come up with a plan. You do have to have some level of belief in the future, and then you have to stick to that plan. Hopefully you had a plan before you got into the ditch. In this case, I have that plan. Like I have a plan to get to where I want to go. I shared a little bit of that recently, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily easy to stick to it. And in fact, sometimes it gets really hard, and the tendency for somebody like me who thrives in like adrenaline situations, like I would definitely love the chaos, because at least I know I can make something new or build my way out of it. Sometimes when you're in the middle of the dearth, when you're in the middle of things just being dead, slowly feeling like they're slowly dying, trusting in the plan that you have and sticking to what's working, to what you believe in, to what you know to be the case, can actually be really, really tricky. So part of making this video is that I want to remind myself of that. Part of that is because if you're in that situation yourself, or you find yourself in that situation, offering the comfort that we all go through this, that comes from also receiving some comfort from other entrepreneurs and creators who share their stories and have reminded me with them that until you've lost sleep over payroll, until you've gone through certain rites of passage, you really haven't done it yet. And so in going through some of those really hard times, in losing sleep over payroll, in having to make some pretty big modifications, and in learning some hard lessons, I'm in a place where I'm recognizing it's not an indictment against my abilities or me as a person. It's proof that I'm working through it, learning, and going the direction that I ultimately want to go. Sometimes the struggle is really just the proof that you're in the fight to begin with. I'm also doing this to remind myself that it is going to be okay. Like, I believe that. I actually do believe that. And sometimes I need to say that on camera. It's funny, this is one of the things about vlogging that I miss when I was doing it daily especially, but was just the talking to myself. So much of the encouragement that I've gotten from vlogging is not just the kind words in the comments and the support that I've received from so many of you that are watching this right now, but it's also the support that I've gotten from myself just by vocalizing my doubts and my worries and then realizing I think it's gonna be okay. Like, I actually really believe in myself. And in many ways, that self-belief I do think does start out being fairly delusional because you don't really have a whole lot of evidence to prove it. But the more you do believe in yourself and the more you act on it, the more evidence you give yourself and the more it really sinks in. So today I'm just making this video as a reminder to myself that I do believe in myself and that these difficult times are chapters in an otherwise long and pretty glorious story. And there's so much to look forward to. Now I just gotta get through it. Come on, Cooper, you good back there? Thanks to today's Patron producer, Larry Kooyman, and all my patrons for sticking with me through all these chapters and actually for helping to elevate me out of some of the worst and most difficult chapters of my life. Really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to join them in supporting me in this long story, then you can do so at patreon.com/Jay Swanson. It makes an immense difference and is really, really important for the continuation of like everything I'm doing. So if you'd like to jump in, I'd really appreciate it. And if you can't right now, can't afford it, or it's just not the right time, that's fine. I hope you'll enjoy just watching the story as it unfolds, and I'll continue sharing it, highs and lows, everything in between. Whew. Here we go.